Mark Levine, who is an attorney, not Levin, Mark Levine, who is an attorney. Schuster said, why is it fair to pin this on Limbaugh?
If you heard Rush Limbaugh today, he specifically compared Barack Obama to Hitler. He said, in fact, that Bart Stupak was the Neville Chamberlain to Barack Obama's Hitler. This is not rhetoric that's coming out of nowhere. People understand that Tea Party activists are drawing Hitler mustaches on Obama. They're doing it for a reason. The irony is this health care bill will actually help most of the people. They just don't know it.
A blooming idiot, a glittering jewel of colossal ignorance.
Mark Levine.
Radio talk show host Mark Levine, constitutional lawyer and former attorney with the House Judiciary Committee.
I don't want to debate
That's not what's in the text of the Constitution. I just wanted to be clear here. I'm a strict constructionist. You're the judicial activist.
As the Supreme Court has ruled for 270 years.
No, sir. They ruled that last year. They ruled that last year. For 200 years, they ruled the other way.
Mark Levine, terrific stuff.
Mr. Levine, do you see my point?
Mark, I love that you have your facts straight.
Mark, you and I have been on TV a lot talking about this lately.
We need a combination of socialism and capitalism. That's why we have Social Security. That's why we have Medicare. That's why most Americans support Social Security.
I got to get Stossel out here to debate you on
that. I would love that.
Stossel is not going to agree with this. Our favorite libertarian and one of our favorite liberals, duke it out next. It is a heavyweight title fight. We have been waiting for this. We love this panel. This is great.
Take your best shot. Where did I go wrong in my analysis?
Well, the first thing you did going wrong was you compared the federal income tax burden to the entire tax burden. That's a common conservative mind trick. But middle class and poor people pay more Social Security taxes as a percentage of their income than the rich.
Now, you're a liberal guy, Mr. Levine. The audience might not know you, but you were on program a couple of times. Smart guy.
That being said,
as I thought.
You got a couple things to respond to, so please take the floor.
I got a lot of things to respond to.
We're going to have to create a segment that just lets you guys continue the debate till like the top of the hour.
A very lively debate, and we appreciate it.
That's a good debate. Thank you. Appreciate it. Terrific debate.
You'll see him here again next Thursday. That's our star panel, Mark and Mike.
Mark Levine, look at him. He's already warming up.
And those points are absolutely well taken.
Mr. Levine, you asked a very good question.
I think Mark raises a good point here.
You're making a pretty good argument.
Ashley, are you as reasonable as Mark is?
He is reasonable.
A blooming idiot.
Take your Harvard mumbo jumbo.
No,
that's what the Republicans will want. That's what they want.
Let's talk about basic economics here. I studied under Professor Martin Feldstein. He was Ronald Reagan's chief economist. Let's remember what causes deficits. There are two ways to stimulate an economy, right? There's monetary policy and fiscal policy.
I didn't go to Harvard, but I can even say that, Mr. Levine, you are wrong.
A glittering jewel of colossal ignorance.
I studied with him in Yale Law School, a very respected legal scholar.
And this guy is an attorney?
And attorney Mark Levine.
A constitutional attorney, California lawyer, if I recall.
She's suing for infliction of emotional distress.
You're an attorney. You'd make a great bankruptcy lawyer.
Usually those cases lose. But when you are filmed naked in your hotel room...
Could I have an L, please?
Oh, you have big plans for that?
Go to law school with it.
I, as a liberal, would love to see some judicial restraint, not a court like one that chooses the President of the United States when the people vote for Gore.
A former attorney for the Democratic members of the House Judiciary Committee.
Democratic congressional attorney Mark Levine.
Legislative counsel to Democratic Congressman Barney Frank.
I did work for Barney Frank. I used to work in Congress, and I had a huge pay cut from my job as an attorney beforehand.
He has a radio show of his own.
On Pacific Cod Radio in Washington, D.C.
He's the host of the Inside Scoop on Washington.
Joining us now from Washington, Mark Levine, liberal radio talk show host on WPFW.
Good morning, America. Welcome to the Inside Scoop on Washington. Today, an explosive story about connections between white supremacists and Islamic terrorists, and the FBI covering it up.
We know that there must be some tie between Rambo and Blago somewhere, right?
Where? What tie? Eric, there's no ties at all. Rahm Emanuel is going to be a great mayor of Chicago, and I don't know of any corruption charges against Rahm Emanuel. None.
No, I didn't say there were corruption charges. I said there may be videotape. There may be phone conversations.
I'm sure they met once. I'm sure they did. He was the governor, and Rahm Emanuel's from Chicago. Dogs are treated far, far better than conservatives treat Obama. I mean, I don't call my dog Hitler. I don't say that my dog is Kenyan. I don't call my dog socialist.
There are bad apples in every business environment.
Which is why you need government regulation to ferret them out.
There you and I will agree.
All right.
Okay? You need the government. You need the government.
We both want to beef up the SEC.
Huh?
All right. Well, I'm not sure you agree on that completely.
Here's Mark. Mark's looking at his Constitution.
Always know we've hit stride when Mark pulls out his Constitution.
That's right. Now, I am a liberal strict constructionist. I believe literally in the terms of the Constitution, which says that a well-regulated militia being necessary. There's the tax and spend clause, there's the commerce clause, there's the necessary and proper clause, there's general welfare clause. Immigration is a federal standard. It is federal standard according to the Constitution. Liberals believe that blacks are people and therefore are protected under the 14th Amendment. Conservatives believe that corporations are people. Now, liberals say corporations aren't human beings. They're not people. Flash my Constitution.
He can waive his Constitution all he wants.
One word, the Constitution of the United States. I respect the law and I respect the Constitution.
We know. I mean, how many people walk around with it in their pocket?
It is. I got it right here. I got my Constitution out. I happen to have my Constitution right here.
Get out your Constitution, Shep.
I've got it right here.
The Constitution says the federal government trumps the state government. Hines v. Davidowitz, 1941 Supreme Court case.
You've got your handy-dandy Constitution.
Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, to provide for the general welfare of the United States. No one's taking away anyone's militia rights. But apart from a militia, it seems to me that instead of having judicial activists determine what guns you can have and what guns you shouldn't have, we should rely on the elected representatives of the people.
You did a little sleight of hand, Mr. Levine. You left out the comma.
I, as a liberal, would love to see some judicial restraint, not a court that says that corporations are more important than humans in the United States. He's citing the child labor cases. He's citing Linder v. United States. He's citing laws that Robert Bork called an abomination. If this is unconstitutional, then Medicare is unconstitutional. All the time, Congress says that you are taxed if you don't do things. For example, your taxes are higher if you don't have a child. Teachers and students, with their parents' permission, decided voluntarily to exercise their free speech rights and off-school property, off-school time, go and protest. If we go beyond the international human rights standards, it won't be against our Constitution. But what it will do is it will tell other states throughout the world they can do the same thing.
This is how
Mike, doesn't John Morton take an oath to uphold the Constitution?
This is the, hey, Mark, this is the nutsiness that this has now reached, that the head of ICE is now threatening not to cooperate.
The Arizona law is unconstitutional. Not only Arizona that wants to deviate from the federal standard in one direction, but also San Francisco that wants to deviate in the other direction. You must have a uniform system of naturalization. In other words, Arizona can't make laws different from New Mexico, Utah, Vermont, or Maine.
You're in the tiny minority.
Article 1, Section 8.
Poll shows that the vast majority of Americans are behind Arizona. And when we have to sit there and watch
the Constitution based on polls, and the president and every single member of the federal government takes an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and you and I both know, Greg, that trumps any polls.
Yeah.
So, and I hear Tea Party activists, and they dress up like the founders, and they claim they love the Constitution, but when it comes to actually following the Constitution, recognizing that we have religious freedom in this country, under the First Amendment of the Constitution, we have to respect the right of all religions to put their mosque or church or synagogue or community centers wherever they want. We can't say that a church can be there and a mosque can't be there.
When you have a government that says you have to buy health insurance, I'm not arguing that there's a reason they do it. I'm saying, Mr. Levine, it's authoritarian.
Bill, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's authoritarian that the government taxes you to pay for police force? That the government taxes you to pay for
They have the right in the Constitution to levy taxes.
They do?
Yep.
But wait, I may not use the police force.
Doesn't matter.
I may not use the firefighters.
They have the right in the Constitution.
They force me to buy for something
Mr. Levine,
I don't need.
You asked a very good question, and I'll give you an excellent answer. They have the right under the Constitution to levy taxes on me, and they do. And they use that right every single day. They don't have the right to force me to buy something.
You're buying health care. Health care is for everyone. Look, a lot of states force you to buy car
for
insurance.
Everyone. I'm sure there are people out there going, I don't want it. I don't want it. See,
everybody lives or dies, Bill. Everybody needs health care.
Some people want to die.
It's like the police.
And
Can any country conquer Afghanistan? Russia tried. Great Britain tried. I'm not so sure we can do so. Wouldn't it be great to go to the doctor of your choice, get your health care needs taken care of, and not have to worry about paying for it? Oh, wait, no, the Republicans call that socialism. I would ask Curtis, how's he going to pay it back?
All right, Curtis, how will you pay it back?
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about paying it. Don't spend the money. That's really all it comes down to.
What would you cut?
It's the spending that's causing the deficit. It has nothing to do with low tax revenue.
What would you cut, Curtis? Social Security, Medicare, maybe close all the national parks? What would you cut? Give me details.
I'm ready for this. I knew you were going to say that. I came prepared.
All right, what are you going to cut?
First of all, the Heritage Foundation put together a plan that cuts $343 billion in spending. Now, that's only short term. That's the bridge to the entitlement cuts. We need to get entitlements under control. We need to reform Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Medicaid. And there are plans out there to do that.
Yes, I'm part of the Tea Party movement. I will proudly disassociate, if that's what you're looking for, Mark, the Tea Party movement from any of these people who say ugly, mean-spirited things. The Tea Party movement
and that would include Rush Limbaugh, right, Matt Gallagher?
Well,
I mean, when Rush Limbaugh compares
Rush,
Barack Obama to Hitler, you will disassociate yourself from Rush Limbaugh, correct?
No.
Right?
I want to associate myself. I'll ride on Rush's coattails all the way I can.
Yeah, but he compares Obama to Hitler. What's the difference?
These are all opinions that people have. The Tea Party movement doesn't have an official opinion about Barack Obama as Adolf Hitler or anything.
On whether or not he's Hitler?
You want to go and
Why
live in
cut
Europe?
their
Go live in
wages?
Europe.
What did
Good
the teachers
teachers are
do?
respected here.
What did the teachers do? Why are you cutting their wages? What did they do wrong? Nothing.
It's
they're
nothing
They're
against...
hurting because of the recession. Let me ask you this. If a woman had done the centerfold, do you think she could be a sitting member of the United States Senate? Because I don't think so. Republicans, conservatives will tell you all the time, government is not the answer. Let the private industry do it. Leave Wall Street alone, and then they ruin the economy. Leave the oil companies alone, and then they ruin the Gulf. What people are learning is that government regulation is often necessary, and I hope Mike can agree with me. Repeat after me. Government regulation is often necessary. You can't trust the corporations to police themselves. You agree, Mike?
What I disagree strongly with is
what do you need to destroy before you recognize that?
Let him repeat after you or say whatever he's going to say, and then I got to go.
Yeah, you asked the question, Mark. The answer is your side is wrong, whether you want more government, not less. If the government was so all-powerful and responsive, why haven't they stopped the leak?
Now you want the government.
Experts, let the
newly minted socialists, Mike Gallagher and Bobby Jindal, now they want the government. I just want to know if Warren Buffett should pay the same tax rate as his secretary. What is wrong with telling the consumer what they're going to pay?
It got so heated between these guys yesterday, we promised you we'd bring them back today. Round 2.
Why can't we focus on the criminal drug gangs instead of Jose, who's in the garden, who's trying to live the American dream?
We might as well refight the Civil War. Say this on national TV.
Eric, have you ever heard the term too cold to snow? You ever heard that expression, too cold to snow? It's -5 out. It's not going to snow today. You know where most snow occurs? In the 20s and in the 30s because it has more water vapor in it. It snows more at 30 degrees than it does at -10 degrees. Instead of calling it insurance or banking, where there are regulations where you're required to put reserves, they called it this new name called swaps. And that way they could gamble with billions of dollars, indeed trillions of dollars, but end up costing American taxpayers $1 trillion. The dinosaurs are gone, all right? There's a limited supply of oil under the ground. There's an unlimited supply of sun. There's an unlimited supply of nuclear energy. There's an unlimited supply of wind and geothermal energy. It's not just Dick Cheney who's letting the oil companies write the regulations. The same people who are getting the royalties from the oil companies and trips and Super Bowl and all these things are the people that are regulating them.
People who believe in the global warming. They've relied
99% of scientists, virtually every university.
Data from IPCC.
They also relied on the fact that people measure temperatures in every place on Earth and have for the last 100 years. 99.99% of people do not abuse the system. 2/3 of all shrimp in the nation comes from Louisiana. The insurance companies have an exemption to the antitrust laws. The most right party in Europe is more socialist than the Democratic Party here in the United States. The Oil Spill Liability Act that says they only have to pay $75 million for a $24 billion company to deal with the economic damages of SB 1070. The Arizona law says if you're not carrying an Arizona driver's license, you can be stopped, you can be arrested. Let's say you're from New Mexico or Utah or Nevada or any of the other 15 states that don't require you to be a citizen in order to have a driver's license. I don't have an Arizona driver's license. If I go to Arizona without a driver's license, they can stop me. I've been to Mexico and I've hung out on Mexican beaches, and when I went in the ocean, I didn't bring my American passport.
The wealthiest demographic in America today are senior citizens.
And in the 1930s, it was the poorest demographic, right?
Let's leave it there,
Social Security changed that.
Mark, before we get into the millionaire's tax, which I know you have the juices flowing on.
I do.
I know, buddy, and I can't wait.
I'm kicking off a Hug a Rich Person campaign here tonight on the O'Reilly Factor. They're the ones that give all the jobs. Anyway,
it's nice to know in this Christmas season, when all of us are looking out for Tiny Tim and trying to make sure he can walk, the Cash-in crew is looking out for Uncle Scrooge. So the Republicans and Bush in Congress allow big banks to play with trillions of dollars, have a great party, and all of us woke up with a hangover. This court right now is radical and lawless and off the rails. and the Republicans want to classify Obama as some kind of elitist, really that's just code word for uppity.
All of you hate deficits.
I'll tell you what, Wayne.
Except when the money goes to the rich people. Then you love deficits.
And Sarah Palin, I gotta say, she's really good at snookering people. She's very charismatic. She is trying to convince all her mama grizzlies to deliver their cubs over to the poachers for hunting. Healthcare bill is not a budget buster, it's a budget booster. Don't use the loaded term socialist. I don't think Canadians are necessarily smarter than Americans. Sure. They get better care at half the cost.
Yeah, oh, please.
All right. Sarah Palin is thankful that Alaska is a beautiful state, thankful that she is never there and doesn't have to be there because, let's face it, it's a lot easier being a star of a reality show than governing a state. Just ask the situation. If money's going to control politics, and I hate it, but if it is, we should at least know where the money's coming from.
And he likes to spend other people's money. I mean, liberals like Mark revel when a president like Obama... When he likes to spend BP's money. That ain't your money,
Are you
Mark.
against spending BP's money to help the strippers and fishermen?
Cut back the rich, cut back too. Everybody cuts back
then
except
let's end their
the
tax
government.
breaks.
Oh, give me a break.
Well, but
I don't really find it that shocking that we're making healthcare companies pay for healthcare. I know that some of you think that's socialism, but to me, it's kind of like making the ice cream truck actually provide ice cream. Uh-oh, a typo.
No.
That destroys global warming. One typo.
What they did.
Bill, I think you're fighting a straw man. The point of what Vice President Biden was saying is there's a smarter strategy, that Afghanistan is a very poor, very mountainous country. It's very hard to occupy every single town and hamlet, and it might be more appropriate to do a guerrilla strategy. I think we have to go by the rules of war. There are laws of war. You can hold prisoners of war, but this has to be someone you capture on a battlefield attacking American troops.
What's
not
a battlefield
somebody
today? How about a cafe where someone tries to explode, Americans?
That would count for me.
Is that a battlefield?
Yes, if they're trying to explode something in a cafe. Not if they're meeting at a cafe with a known terrorist leader. That's not enough. I think you'll find the most pro-American people in the Middle East are the Iranian people, even though they're led by a bunch of dangerous whack jobs
but that's
who might
not quite
blow
true.
up Israel.
There are enough Iranians, and the polls show this, that support the crazy mullahs for them to maintain power. If all of the people...
The vast majority don't, Bill. You know that.
No. It's a secret police state, but just like the Shah, they would be overthrown if the majority of people didn't want it.
Russia spies on us. That's no secret. We spy on Russia. That's no secret. If either of the Castro brothers were to reach out and say, we will allow a free press in Cuba, then I think, yeah, Barack Obama could make a dramatic trip to Cuba, to Havana, and then he could do the same kind of thing Nixon did. But he's got to get something back in return. Yeah. We do need to shut down Gitmo, because Gitmo is a symbol of American illegal actions. It is illegal. It's outside
wildly
the law.
effective. Do you think that
no more
we're
effective than a prison in Kansas
if we
or New
stop
York.
drone attacks tomorrow, do you think the Taliban would say, we want these girls to go to school, we're going to give up our aims on Pakistan?
Not the Taliban. But here's the thing, Lori, as you know, there's a lot of people that are sympathetic. Not the hardline Al-Qaeda people.
But they don't care about
that.
They
no, there are a
see that
lot
as
of people who are
American
sympathetic,
weakness.
and the more civilians we kill, the more terrorists sometimes we create. If we can kill the bad guys and not kill the civilians, we're less likely to have people join the bad guys. Relying on oil is the past. We don't need...
Why is it the past?
Why? Because first of all, so much of it is under the control of foreign dictators, and Saudi Arabia and Iran and Russia, not my favorite people.
Afghanistan, under the Taliban, a theocracy, harbored Al-Qaeda, an entire nation run by Muslims.
Run by Muslim dictators called the Taliban. That's correct. And if you want to attack the Taliban or Afghanistan or Al-Qaeda, I'm fine with it. If you want to attack the Nazis, I'm fine with it. But you shouldn't tar all Germans for the Nazis. You shouldn't tar our Christians for the abortion bombs. We should distinguish between Hirohito and the Japanese. We should distinguish between Osama bin Laden and the ordinary peaceful Muslim who's just trying to live his or her life.
And my father did exactly that.
I think we've been meticulous. I think Israel has been meticulous, and I don't think the world gives us enough credit for it. That being said,
as I thought.
That being said, we have to have standards because we are a democracy. We have to be better than they are. Sometimes people outside the United States think that there are wild changes in policy. There are actually things that most Americans agree on. Most Americans, right and left, agree Iran is a threat. They might want to deal with the threat differently, but they agree there's a threat. Most Americans, right and left, are worried about our debt to China. We think it's a major problem. Most want to defend Taiwan. Liberals want a bigger government right now because the government's going to do things liberals want, like provide children health care. When the Republicans are in charge, they want a bigger government because it'll do things they want, like wars. Everyone says they want to cut spending, but no one actually wants to cut it. The farmers want their subsidies, the doctors want their fix, people want their Social Security. The economy was in free fall. To say that the stimulus didn't help the economy is kind of like saying that when you slam on the brakes, the fact that the car goes a little bit more forward before it stops, that the brakes did nothing to stop the car. The stimulus package did work. back. What you found is we were losing 700,000 jobs a month.
Unemployment is the score. It didn't work.
It would have been 14%, according to the nation's economist.
It doesn't matter what it would have been.
He got a stimulus.
He didn't get the stimulus he wanted. The Democrats wanted at least $80 billion in aid to the states. And in order to get 1 or 2 Republican votes, they had to cut it in half. And I've always said we needed a second stimulus package. I've always said the first stimulus package wasn't large enough. There are 2 ways to stimulate an economy, right? There's monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy, that's what the Federal Reserve does. They already have their pedal to the metal. They're already lending at practically zero. Banks can get any money as much as they want. Businesses are sitting on more cash now than they have in 50 years. They're not spending it. They're saving it. Why? Because there's not enough demand in the economy. You've said it yourself. Businesses are hoarding cash. And the reason they're hoarding cash, there's no demand for their products. If you're a toy manufacturer and you get a bunch more money personally, are you going to hire more employees you don't need? The reason you need employees is because there's demand for your products. Well, it's called the multiplier effect. It's in every economics textbook. It works like this. People get more money, and now they can buy toys for their kids this Christmas. So the demand for toys goes up, and then the factory makes more toys, and then they employ more people, and then they spend more money, and it multiplies. The vast majority of things people buy are for middle-class people. In order to give those tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, they're going to take it away from your Social Security or your Medicare, leaving the tax rates the same for mega millionaires and billionaires. That doesn't affect the economy. What affects the economy, sure, unemployment insurance, making sure that people don't go homeless, making sure that with the payroll tax, that people can afford toys for Christmas. Any economist will tell you that in bad times, you need more government spending. In good times, you need less government spending. The problem with the Republicans is they spent a lot in good times. They did. They ran up the deficit. I think you recall, Steve Moore, that the Wall Street Journal opposed the Bill Clinton tax rate, saying we were going to go into a recession. Interest rates will go even higher. There'll be even more basis points if Illinois defaults. Look, I don't support raising taxes in the states. The reason why Illinois is in this mess has got nothing to do with unions. It has to do with the recession. We've got structural deficits. That's caused by shoveling all that money to the rich we talked about, wars unpaid for, things like that. And you have recession-caused deficits, and that's caused by the fact that less people have money, they pay less in taxes, and states pay more on unemployment aid. This is where I agree with Stephen Moore. He wrote in his editorial that the only way out of the deficits is economic growth. And we all know when there's no economic growth, there are massive deficits. What the government does well is serving as a police force. The only jobs it'll kill are those who are trying to defraud consumers, and they deserve to lose their jobs. We know that the free market does not work when fraud is allowed, when Ponzi schemes are allowed. It's up to the government to stop Wall Street from gambling away our future.
You know, you say crime still pays, Levine. Still pays.
I think it does. Of course it does. Look at your friends on Wall Street. I think it's great. Somebody's buying American cars. Way to go, President Obama, for getting China to devalue its currency. We need more exports. We need to sell more to China than the cheap toys that we're buying from them. A minimum wage both stimulates the economy and helps save taxpayer dollars. So I think it's really sad that Governor Christie made teachers the boogeyman.
Blame the damn union bosses who won't make concessions, especially in my good old home state of New Jersey. The union bosses need to come to the table and, I don't know, let's make some concessions.
Come to the table and hurt the working class people, right, Tracy?
Give me a break with the working class people.
Tell the Republicans to support the same bill they supported 4 years ago. 4 years ago, 23 Republicans in the Senate in 2006, when George Bush was president, supported comprehensive immigration reform. Now there are none of them around. Now, why did all 23 flip-flop, including John McCain? And one of the things we've learned throughout American history is that whenever you pick on a disfavored minority, the minority dislikes it very strongly. The majority is often okay with it. I give you the example of Jim Crow laws in Alabama and Mississippi. The vast majority of the people of Alabama and Mississippi supported treating blacks as second-class citizens, but the blacks didn't like it very much. I think Barbara Boxer's safe. In fact, West Virginia actually voted more for Kerry than they did for President Obama. I'll tell you who's in trouble is Arlen Specter. Joe Sestak, I think, will win that primary because he's a real Democrat rather than someone that switched over.
Do you think that the Republicans are going to be able to take the Senate back? And
no. The Republicans are going to take the House of Representatives. The Democrats are going to retain the Senate. This is a good old American gridlock where you have the House wanting one thing, the Senate wanting something else, and not much getting done for the next 2 years.
Have you not met the Clintons,
She's
Mark?
not that stupid, Monica. She can run in 2016. She has no chance of running in 2016 if she runs in 2012. Look, Ronald Reagan's poll numbers, I looked them up. For this same period, were lower. We're 4% lower. Bill Clinton's numbers were also lower. than Barack Obama. Under Ronald Reagan, unemployment went as high as 10.8%, and it took 3 years to get us out of the recession. Still, he had a landslide victory in 1984. Monica, from your perch, I suppose everyone to the left of you seems way left. But
sure, when they're all wrong.
Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, they're all centrists. This is not from the Kucinich, Maxine Waters, Michael Moore wing of the Democratic Party. I have these arguments with progressives.
Does that give angst to liberals?
Well, I mean, not this liberal. Proposition C. Let's read Proposition C. People voted to deny the government authority to penalize citizens for refusing to purchase private health insurance or infringe upon the right to offer or accept direct payment for lawful health care services and modify laws regarding the liquidation of certain domestic insurance companies. Does that make sense to you?
So what do you say?
It's awfully confusing. It combines things that are completely different all in one. It is not at all the health care reform package. You ask Americans who don't know what's in the health care bill whether they like it, the vast majority don't like it. When you tell Americans what's in the bill, then 60 to 80% of Americans support the bill. Now, 94% of beneficiaries of Medicare like their Medicare. But let's say to Americans, you have a poll, you can get rid of your Medicare taxes, but still get all the Medicare benefits. You think Americans would vote for it?
Of course.
I suspect they would. The plan that was passed by Congress largely mirrors the plan that was passed by Governor Mitt Romney in Massachusetts. There is a health care mandate, and in Massachusetts, premiums have gone down 30 to 40% while they've reached 98% coverage. What can we say about those 9 presidents? The 4 that lost, every single one of them had a challenge within their party, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. The 5 that did not have a challenge, every single one of those won re-election. So I have a prediction for you tonight, Monica. Right here on Fox News, President Obama will win re-election as long as some Democrat is not stupid enough to run against him. Unlike in Britain, where the House of Lords has virtually no power these days, our Senate still... It's very hard to know who the Tea Party is. They're not like ordinary parties in that they have a party platform. I don't think they can jointly agree on anything except that they hate Obama. They are a majority sentiment among the Republican Party, but a minority sentiment among the American people. Let's just take Sharon Angle, for example. Now, she won her Nevada primary. Her ideas, though, are pretty extreme. She wants to abolish Social Security and abolish Medicare. They declared war on Obama ever since he came into office, with Jim DeMint saying health care would be his Waterloo. The Democrats have declared their most important thing is the economy. The Republicans have declared their most important thing is taking down Barack Obama. Republicans would not agree to any compromise. Military authorization came up last year. This is something that was voted on unanimously, but the Republicans still filibustered it. When it came to increasing unemployment benefits, the Republicans supported that too, but they still filibustered it. I think if they tried to name a post office, the Republicans would filibuster it. This is all part of their strategy announced by Rush Limbaugh to make America fail by making this president fail so they can take power again. It's a very cynical strategy.
Limbaugh?
I do. Mollahan was ranked one of the 15 most corrupt members of Congress by the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics of Washington. No, it really doesn't. I'd like to see, though, focus on the 16 Republicans on the most corrupt list. Who's pulling the strings and owning our politicians? Should the 16 corrupt Republicans step down, too? I want to do an investigation on them. Right here on
that's next week.
Okay,
no, we're not talking about that today. We can't talk about the Republicans. We're going to say...
You think O'Donnell has a chance?
Not a chance.
It's kind of slim. It's kind of slim.
Right.
Not
Mark, your final
a chance.
Word? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Mark.
This is the largest blooming flower in the world. It's extremely rare, and it comes from Sumatra. You go back to the Bible and Joseph's dream. I'll tell you what I give Chelsea Clinton. I think that we should get her something that she's never had, she's always wanted, that most of us have, but Chelsea Clinton has never gotten, and that is privacy. Let's leave her alone. That's marijuana legal, tax it, and use the money to pay for all the health care we have to treat stoners. But the difference in steroids is it's cheating. It's not just that he was using the drugs and maybe harming his own body. He was cheating at a sport, and you can't justify that. Look, I mean, domestic violence, it's an awful thing, and these things do turn out to be patterns, and if any woman is involved with any man like that, run, run, run for the hills. Ground Zero is a sacred place. It is a place where 3,000 innocent Americans were murdered, and the federal government should control it to make sure that no religions or all religions are at that memorial site. This is 3 blocks away. It was a Burlington coat factory, hardly sacred ground. It can't be seen from Ground Zero. There's already a mosque there 5 blocks away.
Do you think this has become politicized?
I think it has. For example, even the words that are used, the Ground Zero Mosque, instead of the Muslim Cultural Center 3 blocks away from Ground Zero. Now, I realize that's a mouthful. It's harder to put on a New York Post headline.
Where's gold going?
I think gold is going down. I sold gold yesterday. Listen, if you think America's going in the toilet, if you think we're headed for a permanent depression, then by all means buy all the gold you want. G. Gordon Liddy, as you know, is a paid person for gold. They pay him to do those ads, all right? So he has a vested interest in gold going up. What I brought is a chart. This is the gold prices over the last 35 years. What happened 30 years ago when it hit its last peak? It gave a sharp decline. The loser got a 10 of clubs, and I think that's the highest card I got in all my poker games last night, which is why I'm poor because of it. So, you know, I feel his pain.
Well, I'm just glad you're not hungover today. I'm impressed that you're even in front of a camera.
Who says I'm not?
All right, Mark, you've had enough answering. Enough questions gone to you. We're going to take a break. Mark's got to rest for a minute. All right, want to let you know, folks.
I don't need a liberal to come give me his point of view.